Greetings, fellow Aggies. My name is Anaya Cato, and I welcome you to our final Closing Bell series, where this connects us students who are eager to learn and inspired to grow with partners like Mr. Bell, who has paved the way to inspire us all. Listen to this real-world experience so you can get some gems of what you can be doing today for a better future tomorrow. I thank you all for being here today. May you open your ears to be inspired for some drops of gems. I thank you to the faculty for putting on this event, and I thank you guys for being here today and choosing yourselves. I would like to welcome Patrick Hooper to introduce our speaker.
Former submarine warfare officer, Mr. Michael Bell, has been the Senior Vice President and General Manager of Carney's Optical Communication Portfolio since April of 2020. He was responsible for the innovation and strategic growth of Carney's Optical Communication Portfolio. Dating back into 1991, he served as a processing engineer, creating a Japanese equity company and leading Carney's cable systems. Dated back into 2012 as well, he has been integrating and emerging Carney's presence in the emerging markets. Currently holding an MBA from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and a Bachelor in Science degree in Electrical Engineering from West Virginia University, I present to you the prestigious Michael Bell.
Oh my goodness, wow, that was awesome. I don't even know what to say. I cannot hold a candle to the speakers you already heard. So one thing you're gonna learn about me is I'm a lot more plain spoken than you all are. And I hope that we enjoy getting to know each other today. You guys have probably been to Closing Bell before. I was invited to speak here, and I thought it was pretty appropriate because my last name is Bell. So here I am at the Closing Bell, and I'm retiring at the end of this year. So it is sort of a closing for the Closing Bell. But the reason that I'm here primarily is because the historic partnership between your beloved North Carolina A&T and my beloved Corning. And we formed a partnership like has never been formed before back in 2020. It started in 2021, and I think we have provided scholarships for close to 100. What's the number, Mark, now? How many students have? 108. 108. 108 students have benefited from scholarships provided by Corning just in the last 3 or 4 years alone. So we're super excited about that. Now, it wasn't just about funding education. It was about getting to know people and helping you transform us into a better company, and hopefully us helping you transform this into an even better institution of learning. And that was one of the fundamental principles. And it was a 5-year agreement. The 5-year agreement finishes funding next year for scholarships from next year, the 2025 to 2026 school year. And then what's exciting is I've gotten a lot of feedback from our steering team members at the company. Willie, Deese, your namesake of this business school, was right in the middle of this relationship, if you don't know. So Willie I met Willie back in 2020. He was a close friend of Wendell Weeks, our CEO. And Wendell Weeks used to be on the board of Merrick. And of course, Willie was the executive vice president of manufacturing at Merrick, and that's where they met. And they just loved each other. They tried to create new business collaboration together between the two great companies. And as Willie went into retirement, and 2020 came on, and I took this role, Wendell just said, I think the two of you will get along. And so I have to say, when I met him, it felt like I'd known him for 30 years. And it couldn't have been 5 minutes when we both agreed education is by far the most transformative thing in our society for everyone. And it's something we both hold a love for, and I couldn't be more proud of the partnership we've created. And I really believe it'll be an indefinite partnership because that's what I'm hearing from my steering team, and we just want to continue to make it stronger and better. So thank you for having me today. I am following a format I was given, so I don't know if this resonates or not. So it's a little bit about my personal journey, a little bit about Corning and what I do at Corning, and then a little bit of kind of stuff I thought you might like to hear about that I've learned along the way. So it starts with, I went to West Virginia University, not a very prestigious school. We were poor, that's all we could afford. So that's where I ended up going to school. I'm featuring here a photo from that era. And when I was at West Virginia, we had lost to Penn State 28 years in a row in football. And so this is finally, after 28 years in 1984, we beat Penn State. So, something I remember from my college days. I lived at West Virginia. It was a place where lots of other poor kids like me could go and could afford to go. So everybody was very humble and in a learning spirit, and it was just a really fun, great place to be. So I really treasured my years at West Virginia. Now, the one thing I can say about West Virginia, and sorry, you're going to find out the kind of person I am here in a second, it was ranked the #1 party school when I was there, okay? And so one thing I'm very proud of, and that's by, the prestigious Playboy magazine, okay? So, it was a real ranking back then. And one thing I'm proud of is I actually made it through in 4 years. So that was pretty distinctive for West Virginia back then. I got a degree in electrical engineering. My father was an electrical engineer. He went to the University of Pittsburgh, which is kind of coincidental, being that the new chancellor, incoming Chancellor Martin, was just the dean at the University of Pittsburgh. And I had an opportunity to spend some time with him at the homecoming event and learn a little bit more about each other. And we can't wait to get together the first week of December and start crafting what the next 5 years of this partnership might look like. So that's a little bit about West Virginia. I went there because that's what we could afford. I got an electrical engineering degree, and about a couple of years into my degree program, I had 3 siblings behind me hoping to go to college too. And so that's what drove me to consider a naval recruiter's call. And so in the middle of school, the Navy called and said, hey, look, we have this program. It's called the Nuclear Power Officer Candidate Program. We'll give you $3,000 right now, and we put you on salary right away. And I said, that sounds like a good deal. And so that's really what compelled me to decide to join the Navy. And I also thought in my little 17-year-old brain back then that, that sounds kind of cool to drive submarines around. And if I don't do it, I'm not sure what it would have been like, and I'll regret that. So that was one of the, some of the decision making that went into my head to do that. And I thought, if I go in at, say, 21, and I get at, say, 26, I'm still pretty young. I can do a lot of other things. So that's what happened. And what you see is an old photo of the type of submarine I served on. I served on board the USS Lewis and Clark, which was a fleet ballistic missile submarine. And that meant we carried 16 submarine-launched ballistic missiles on board. If you know anything about sort of warfare history and the invention of the nuclear-powered submarine, it's probably the most proficient asymmetric weapon ever invented in the history of combat. And what that means is this is the thing that kept us as humans from destroying each other. And the reason that is because this submarine alone, when it went to sea, was the 12th most powerful country in the world. And nobody knew where it was. So nobody had first strike opportunity, so that meant we could keep the peace. There's no way the Russians would know where we are, so if they tried to bomb us first, these guys would spring out of nowhere and bomb them back, and vice versa. I know it's kind of morose, but this is part of my history. And I'm super proud of the service that I provided to our country then. And I would say something that's been a fact in my life is no matter what I have done in my life, I've received much more than I've given. And so that's been a life lesson for me. And in fact, that's a comment I made at my retirement last night. So, yeah, when you're old, you forget even what day it is. So this is kind of an interesting period in history, too. Because these original missiles couldn't go very far, they had to be forward, the submarines had to be forward deployed in Europe. Because if you want to hit Russia soon, then you need to be close to Russia. And so we were deployed in the Holy Loch, Scotland, which was interesting because I have a Scottish heritage. So I got to experience what it was like in the country my ancestors came from when I was there. So that was kind of fun, too. Anyway, after that, I was like, okay, time to get out. I did meet and marry my wife, Deanna, of 38 years, just before I went into the Navy. And the reason I know I loved her was because I had sworn off women before I went into the submarine service, thinking, why do I want to drag somebody through this with me? And I met her, and she just captured me, and I couldn't help myself. So, and she knows that about me, and so that's how she knows that, she was the one. So, and so she did live through this period with me, and she's sacrificed through this period of my life and through my, executive period of my life, very sacrificially. That's something I am genuinely thankful for too, and could not have done without her. The last thing I have as an image on the screen, and I know it's small for you to see in the back, is my license as a professional engineer. And so when I got out of the Navy, I decided, because my father was an engineer, but he always regretted not getting his professional engineering license. And so, as fate would have it, my supervisor was a professional engineer. He made it very easy for me to apply, sit for the exam, and achieve that certification. And so, I think about that, and this is something Mark advised me. I was just an engineer joining a big company. That's really it. I had the submarine background, which isn't all that relevant as I thought coming in to what Corning does as a company. But this was my beginning. And from that point forward, I joined as an engineer. I was a process engineer. That means I was the lowest of the low engineer coming into a factory. And here I am having 4 years run the entire place. So it's humble beginnings, education, leadership experience, and a little bit of effort. And that's sort of what my life has been based on. Okay? All right, next I wanted to move to what's my true North Star? Now, when I thought about a true North Star, being from the Navy and understanding celestial navigation and where the North Star is, I thought about a photo I had on my personal phone in building this presentation. So this is a photo up at our place in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, which is up in the western North Carolina mountains. We were fine during the storm, luckily. Many people were not. And if you know anything about the night sky, this constellation you see here, which I was surprised I could take a picture of, by the way, is the Big Dipper, okay? And if you ever want to find the North Star, little added bonus from talking to Mike today, and you have fingers on your hand, you can always look up at the sky and go 5 lengths from these 2 stars in the Big Dipper, and 5 lengths out there, actually off the screen here in this photo, is the North Star, okay? So that was a way of showing an image of the North Star. I learned something about myself with every job that I had. And occasionally somebody suggests something for me to read. And I don't read a lot of books, honestly, because I think there's so many people that write books that aren't worth reading, honestly. So what I usually wait for to read a book is if I get a personal friend, a work colleague, and a church colleague that recommend the same thing. And that always makes me say, maybe there's some truth in this. Maybe there's something I should pay attention to. And there was an author, and I was on actually a mission trip to Africa a number of years ago, and we were traveling, and we were talking about leadership and other things. And one of my pastor friends said, you ought to read, Daniel Pink's Drive. And so I said, okay, it sounds like something I should read. Actually, if you want to learn more about Daniel Pink and his principles in Drive, you can look it up on YouTube and just look for the Daniel Pink whiteboard. And if you've ever seen the whiteboards where they draw cartoons and show you what the whole book is about literally in 30 seconds, that's the best way to learn about it. But the 3 principles that he puts forward for the central theme or the central key to motivation for human beings are purpose, autonomy, and mastery. And when he said that, it just clicked for me. It made sense. It helped me make sense of my life a lot more. And where times when I've been super motivated in a work situation or a family situation or a church situation, and other times when I was completely pissed off, frankly, because one of these things had been taken away. All right. So let me take you through what those things are and why they're so important to me and what I try to do as a business person to provide. The first is purpose. All purpose really means in this context is a group having something to do beyond themselves. And this is a silly thing to even explain to you because your generation sort of thrives on this. It's like, look, if where I'm going to work doesn't have a purpose, why the hell should I even work there, right? In my generation, I just wanted a job to put food on the table. I couldn't have cared less about purpose to start with. But purpose has meant a lot to me. It's meant a lot to me in my career. It's meant a lot to me to talk about with groups I'm leading. And it's meant a lot to, as I'm learning as I retire, to all the people that have worked in my groups in the past. And so I was always looking for a purpose. Now, Corning, it's easy because we provide the internet, high-speed broadband. And if you don't have high-speed broadband at home, you know what I'm talking about. Like you're part of the other side of the digital divide. And there are a lot of people in the United States today that do not have that. So our ability to connect the unconnected in itself was a great purpose to have, okay? And so I talked about that endlessly. Probably everybody that works in my group hates to hear me talk about that. I've talked about it so much, but it means a lot to me. What I got to do my entire career is something that really matters in people's lives and matters in society. And that meant a lot. So purpose, that's number one. It doesn't have to be that, it can be anything, but it needs to be something that draws people together to something beyond themselves. And that's what purpose is about. Second one is autonomy. And this means a lot to me too. It means being able to express your creativity in your own way, of your own choice, in how you get things done and how you see the world and how you thrive, okay? It's not people telling you what to do all the time. Some people call it micromanaging. Some people call it lots of other things. But autonomy is, I think, one of the keys to the human spirit. So purpose, autonomy. The reason I believe this is I worked for a person that took away on my autonomy and I almost quit. So I read this book after that and said, aha, I know why I felt so bad then, because this person was telling me what to do. And by the way, I had 10 different ways to do it that were way better than that person was telling me to do it. And so if you think about it as a leader or a group you're in, it's allowing people to express their creativity and be engaged in their work and their world in a way that just helps you feel better, okay? Because we all have better ways of doing things, we think, and we want to try it and find out if it's better. The last one is mastery. And mastery is pretty simple. It means being really good at something. People like to be really good at something. Daniel Pink uses the example of playing guitar in your spare time. It's hard to play the guitar, but why do people never get paid but love to play the guitar? Because they love being good at something that you get to pick yourself, okay? It sucks being good at something someone else picks for you. And in fact, I would argue you're never really good at it because to be really good at something invests a lot of personal time and effort to do. And so mastery is something I've thrived in. I love being good at certain things. I love being known for being good at certain things. And those things have to be things that I truly believe I'm good at and that I've chosen myself, okay? And so something I did, in groups that I've led is we always said, I'll give you an example. So I was building a product line management organization years ago. And we were building a whole pyramid for how to have the best product line management organization. And it always includes training and people. And what we needed was we knew what some of the disciplines were, but we didn't know who the experts among us that could teach those disciplines would be. Economics, for example. So instead of just assigning the people we thought were best, we let people volunteer for where they wanted to be known as an expert and then truly develop their own expertise so that they could teach other people. And you would not believe how that took off because it was practicing this principle of mastery, okay? So this comes up again and again and again in my career, and I just thought it was worth sharing since you're asking me about what my life's been like. So there you go. Now, let's get into something a little more practical that, I know you've asked me to come talk about. What in the heck does Corning do? And I mentioned one of the things, and in fact, asking ChatGPT, if you scan down there a little bit, is also something that we do with optical fiber. If you're asking ChatGPT anything, and you don't have optical fiber, you're not going to get an answer, okay? And so we get to connect this neural network that it becomes a common brain for all of us with optical fiber. You can't have AI without optical fiber, which is pretty cool once you know it. So we believe at Corning, we impact your life every single day and a few billion others too. And so it's a bigger sense of what we do. What we believe that we do is we create life-changing innovation because we've done it for 173 years. And I'll show you a couple of examples that are a little older, but we want to start with something a little newer that is relevant to your life today. Staying healthy, our scientific lab products enable medical discoveries that keep you on top. Every scientific lab in the country uses Corning products to do drug discovery. Stunning TV quality, our incredible glass manufacturing makes that happen. This is unfortunately not a flat screen piece of glass, but if it were, there's about an 80% probability it would be our glass. We're great at glass science, ceramic science, and optical physics. That's the center of what we do. But these are embodiments of what we're able to do with those technologies. Gorilla Glass Tough, we help keep your screen from blowing up after a selfie slip or a pocket drop. And you may have heard of Gorilla Glass before. It's something we're known for in modern day. We've protected, 6 billion phones or something like that in the history of the world so far, and counting. We're on every major platform if they actually want to keep their phone from breaking. Some people actually don't want to keep your phone from breaking because they like the replacement market too much. Asking ChatGPT, I mentioned about this. our remarkable optical fiber provides the data backbone for your AI experience. And like AI is a really, really cool thing that's going on right now. I don't know if you follow Corning at all, but we're in the news more and more because of what we do is fundamental to allowing these networks to be built that can do all these amazing things. And finally, crisp display in a new car. We enable lighter, cleaner cars with amazingly advanced glass and ceramics. We think that, okay, let's admit it. Most of the displays in cars historically are kind of crappy. I mean, they're plastic, they crack if you drive your car long enough. And we're used to using pretty advanced displays, so why wouldn't people want that same quality in their vehicle? And it doesn't have to cost more, and we're not going to let it cost more. But you'll see in the newer, fancier cars all coming out with these really cool displays, and it'll just be in all cars eventually, and that's what we're trying to enable to make happen. Okay, so that's sort of the relevance to life, and we think what we do is pretty cool, and hopefully you know a little bit more about us too. Next, if I go back historically a little bit to this 173 years, the foundation of what we do, and I know we're in a business school, so that's not lost on me, the center of our competitive advantage is the combination of inventing new-to-the-world products that solve a real problem for the world and inventing the way to make them. So we have a twofold competitive advantage that very few of our rivals do. And if you can stack up more than one of those things into a solution, we're just untouchable, okay? And so competitive advantage, I'm sure you heard that word, really important for any business model. That's why we've been around 173 years. The ability to make, with these core capabilities we have, new-to-the-world inventions that solve hard problems. And then also, they're so new to the world, we have to invent the way to make the thing, too. It's not that something you can buy off the shelf. It's not something that you can contract manufacture. Here's a few examples. The light bulb, back in 1879. Our CEO has the first order of the PO for the first order of the glass envelope for Thomas Edison's light bulb from none other than Thomas Edison, signed by Thomas Edison. Pretty cool. And in fact, the symbol of innovation is what? The light bulb. So the next time you see a light bulb and say innovation, oh, that means Corning. The next image over is representative of our whole display business. You may or may not know. We've had the glass on every manned spaceflight ever put into orbit or gone anywhere in the U.S. history. We're considered a treasure, a national treasure for our capabilities in really, really difficult applications. The phone, okay. Anybody have a phone? In fact, I don't see a whole lot of people looking at your phone. Thank you for that. But, I look at my phone all the time, every day. And I always think about, when I'm looking through that, I think about we're the window through which you access the rest of the world, which is kind of cool. This thing is kind of weird. This is what the inside of your catalytic converter looks like. And there was a really tough problem in the 70s that, hey, we need cleaner air. And what we had to do was invent a technology that is so fine that you have enough surface area in a soda can that's the size of a football field. And so that's how complicated the structure inside of your catalytic converter is. That's why I probably shouldn't use this word, but dominate that market because it's very, very hard to replicate and do. And that's the part of our ceramics part of our business. The one in the middle, yeah, it looks like a 70, lamp light, but that is representing optical fiber. This is what I've been able to be the steward of, and I've worked in this business for 33 years now. We invented low-loss optical fiber in 1970. And if it weren't for that invention, there would not be an internet. Then we have glass vials over there too. So I talked about our life sciences products. You've heard of the term Pyrex. You probably know Corning invented Pyrex. Labware, back in the 1920s, we invented. By the way, in terms of the glass envelope for Thomas Edison, they had to be glass blown. We invented the process to mass produce light bulbs because somebody had to do it. And that same process is used today. So I'm pretty proud of what we've done and of having to be part of this great company for all these years. All right. Next thing I want to introduce is, even though these are really classic inventions, these are the keystone inventions from which we build our business portfolio. And right now we're in 5 markets: display, mobile consumer electronics, automotive, optical communications, and life sciences. And if you noticed in the automotive example, we're using some of the stuff from over here to do more over here too now. So like I said, if you can mix and match, even more competitive advantage. right? So these are the markets that we serve currently. You may or may not have heard, but we're also getting into solar now, which is so new that we were just talking about it, and it's not even on the presentation yet. So something we're super jazzed about is recreating a large solar capability right here in the United States. All right, how about me? What do I do? Well, I told you I'm retiring, but for the last few years, I've run Optical Communications. Proud to say it's the largest market access platform among the 5 I've just shown you. By Q3 of this year, which we just finished, we were at a $5 billion per year run rate. And our revenue was up 30% year over year. And our NPAT, or net profit after tax, was up 75% year over year, which isn't too bad. It's driven by 2 major trends, AI, which I talked about before. You may or may not have heard of the term BEAD. BEAD is sometimes called Internet for All, and it's the government's effort through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act to connect all people in the United States. So we were behind encouraging the government to do this, behind telling them how to do this, and now hopefully behind helping them actually do it. And so this will start next year. And we're hoping to not leave anybody behind eventually in the United States. Now, the other thing I thought was interesting, since it is business school, I thought I would mention, has anybody heard of WAC before? What's WAC mean? You are not mistaken at all. And if I had like a Reese bar, I would throw it to you right now, but I don't. That's exactly right. Now, the importance of weighted average cost of capital in any business is, what does it cost you to get money that you need to use to run your business, right? Isn't that business students? Yes? Weighted average cost of capital is a really, really important principle. And a way to figure out whether you're creating value or destroying value is the return you get from your capital has to be higher than what it costs you to borrow. It's sort of like a basic principle. If you went to a bank and you borrowed money at 4%, and you invested that money, only made 3%, would you owe the money more money than you got to start with or less? You'd owe them more money. You go out of business doing that. And if you borrowed at 4% and made 5%, you could pay back the bank and have a little left over for yourself, right? Same thing, everything works like in life. Capitalism works on capital. So the weighted average cost of capital, you measure the cost of your debt, the cost of your equity, the average of how that is distributed on your balance sheet, and that tells you what your weighted average cost of capital is. It's an important number to know if you're running a business. In Corning, our weighted average cost of capital is about 9% right now, okay? Argument is, if we were more debt loaded, we could have our weighted average cost of capital down, which is true, but it would be less safe because we'd owe people a lot of money. We do owe stockholders the capital that we use. So we've chosen that because we have a little bit of a risky business model because we're always inventing things. And we wanted to make sure we didn't owe too many people too much money in any short period of time, because sometimes these cycles, you can't predict exactly what they're going to look like. So anyway, long story short, weighted average cost of capital at Corning is 9%. Our business in optical communications, our return on invested capital is 18%. So last time I checked, 18 is higher than 9, and that's a good thing, okay? And so something I'm very proud of as having run this business, and something that's really emphasized inside of our business, each one of these businesses is measured on that basis. Are you at least returning back to us what it's costing us to run your business? And hadn't heard that as a business student. It's a pretty darn important principle. There you go. There's my business school lecture for the day. Last thing I want to do is just say, why are we here and why do we care? First of all, this great institution is historic. I don't have to tell you this because you know that's why you go here probably. You graduate the most black engineers of any school, any public school in the United States, and of extremely high quality. 2 of our top business leaders are NCA&T graduates, Cassandra Taliaferro and Vaughn Hall. So we know the quality that we're speaking of, and we realized we were not getting our fair share of this great institution right in the middle of my business in North Carolina here. So that was the reason for the partnership. So you guys are great. That's basically it. Now the connection between you guys and us is we deeply care about people at Corning. This is a distinctive that Mark and I worked on that we really believe we own. We are the $14 billion and growing, soon to be $17 or $18 billion company that truly or actually cares about you. you may not think about this very often because if you're anything like I was, I just want to get a job. I don't really care about that. I'm not there for love. I get that from my family, whatever. But I am here to tell you that the way you're treated in an organization matters a lot in terms of how you feel about yourself, how you feel about life, and whether you can actually fully reach your fullest potential. And we believe, one, we want people to stay with us for a long time. So if we want that, we better treat them pretty well. And why is that? We invent things for a living. The way you get better inventing is get smarter and more storied and more capable and more wise in the things that we know how to do. And that takes time. So we have to have long-tenured employees. And I know today, you probably go out of this room and say, that old guy didn't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm going to jump jobs every 2-3 years, and I'm going to get what's mine, more money, whatever it is. But I would argue the reason people jump jobs today is because that's the way you're being treated by the companies that most people are working at. And so you just go check. Other tech companies will not say they actually care about you. And in fact, I'll give one example. There's a little company called Amazon that has, does anybody want to guess at what the average tenure of an Amazon employee is? Aha, we have a testimony, we have a witness here in the crowd. 2 years, yeah, 2 years. 2 years is the average tenure of an Amazon employee, last time I checked. The average tenure of a Corning employee, I don't know what it is because we usually go around the room with a contest. And when people introduce themselves, it's like, hey, Mike Bell, 33 years, and then go on with whatever you're doing. Mark Vaughn, 36 years. And nobody forced us to stay here. Corning just never gave me a reason to leave. And I've been able to accomplish everything, more than I ever could have imagined. Poor guy from West Virginia, went to West Virginia University because that's all I could afford. Went to the Navy because my siblings needed to go to college too. And it's amazing. And I would tell you, Willie Deese has the same story, and I'm sure he shared it with you because we shared it with each other on the first time I met him. And so that's my story. And I think I'm supposed to stop here because I'm supposed to provide plenty of time for questions. Is that right? Okay. So those are my remarks.
At this time, we're going to take any questions for Mr. Bell.
Since I asked him a question, it's only fair, right? Yeah, okay. 3 major risk factors for our global supply chain, and what are we doing about it? And hopefully if I answer these right, you'll come join us, because that's a really wise question. So I would say the first risk factor everybody has is assurance of supply. So it's like, can you get what you need when customers are thriving, right? It's easy to get what you need when the market's slow, but in times like this, it's really important to have this assurance of supply. So that's the first one. Because we run a very technical company, we always are in a battle with our inventors to use a common palette of materials so that you're not single sourced with certain supply. So I'd say assurance of supply, would be number one. Second one would be any kind of interruptions in global trade. And, if you hear about something going on the Suez Canal, it's going to affect us. Okay, it affects almost everyone. In fact, I remember when that first ship that ran aground in the Suez Canal, we had a whole box on that one of fiber going someplace that somebody needed. And so we had to reroute and redirect and everything else. So anytime there's an interruption, that's a really important aspect of it. And the last one is just price. We have to be competitive. We can't afford to pay more than everybody else does. And there are a lot of factors in the world. A lot of companies, everybody's out to try and make as much as they can, right? And so a common thing people will do is they'll price differently in different markets. Well, that works fine if those markets are just serving that market. But what happens when you get an extra low cost in India for a certain thing, and then you export that good to the United Kingdom? Well, those of us paying United Kingdom prices for the incoming materials are at a disadvantage, okay? So those pricing differences globally and regionally actually make a really big difference to us too. Supply chain question, holy moly.
Hey, Mr. Bell, Andrew Williams, I'm a junior finance student here at A&T. My question for you was, in your 33 years Corning, what adversity did you face that you put you in the position that you're in now?
What adversity did I face? Hey, well, so the first thing that happened early in my career, I got out of the Navy, thought I was great. I was a process engineer for a couple of years, and I thought the next job was to, be a supervisor of that same function. It's kind of a common thing. In fact, in the Navy, it's all fairly linear thinking. You think, yeah, I'll do this, and I'll do that next thing up. Well, I applied for one job, didn't get selected. A black man got selected, actually, because he was better than me, and he was from Georgia Tech, and he's better in every possible way than me. And so I could accept that. I thought that was great, actually. Second time, I applied for a similar job, and I was told I can't move because I'm too valuable in my current position. Okay? It's like, that didn't feel very good early in my career. And so how did I handle that? Well, I already admitted to you I'm a person of faith. This has nothing to do with secularism or anything else. But I felt God telling me, you're trying to do this yourself. Don't you trust me? And I could share a story that will blow your hair back about what happened next. I was offered a job I never expected that was way better than what I was applying for. It allowed me to exit the reserves, take care of my family more, and be a leader of my congregation, my church. And so when I was trying to do it myself and seeing all these blockages, I had to release that and figure out a way to thrive in a different way, is what I would say. So, and shoot, after I did that and I realized what I really need to do is not worry so much about my job, but worry about doing the best job at whatever it is I'm doing, and that it's alone should speak for itself, my career just took off. And so I really believe the most important thing in anything you're doing is bring your best self every single day. Do your best no matter what anybody else thinks. And that will, provide a lot. It won't do everything. You're going to have blockages, and I'm sure blockages you guys will have are things that I could never imagine. I've learned about some of those over the past several years that I just am very sorrowful about, and I hope they'll change. I didn't have that disadvantage for sure. But I did have the disadvantage of being from West Virginia. I can tell you that. And if you come to North Carolina, the first thing I heard was, far as a tank of gas could get you. And so, of course, I had this thought that, he got from West Virginia, what can he really do? But, like I said, I think you guys probably have the same gene. I'll show you what I can do. And I think that makes all the difference in the world.
I'm Jemiah Bass. I'm a sophomore. My major is economics with a concentration in pre-law, and I minor in entrepreneurship.
My goodness.
And my question for you is, what skills do you believe are essential for someone looking to start a career at Cornell?
Oh, you already got them. What I would say for anyone is what we're looking for is people who are curious about the world, want to learn. You need to be if you're a lifelong learner, you're going to do well, because we're always trying to learn about the world around us and figure out how to solve problems all the time. So that would be number one. Secondly, the feeling and ability you're powerful enough to make a difference about those things around you. And the third is just be a person of integrity. Corning has a set of values. We call it 7 values. Integrity is one of them, one of the ones most important to me. Now, integrity doesn't mean what you think it means. Integrity doesn't just mean being honest. Integrity means doing what you say you're going to do. And so it's hard to live up to that. But if you live up to that, I think, along with curiosity and a desire to make the world a better place and makes everything around you better, and then act with integrity, the sky's the limit at Corning, I think. You're welcome. I just realized I'm not supposed to be selecting who's going to take the question next.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brianna Aiken. I'm a junior supply chain management student. And my question for you today is, what new markets or industries do you see Corning entering in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I just answered this one already. So solar is definitely the market that we're going to be entering. Something that's interesting about the solar industry that you may or may not know, I want to insult the intelligence, I've learned a lot about this here recently, is it's dominated by the Chinese right now. But it's dominated by the Chinese because the technology was invented here, it was stolen by China, and then they made the cost so low, like they do in many markets, that nobody else can compete. It doesn't mean their input cost and their conversion cost is lower. It means they're artificially holding the cost down so much to drive out everyone else so they can dominate the world in this particular way. And we believe, and I think the U.S. government believes now, that it's a competitive disadvantage for the United States not to have access to that critical clean energy component. And so we're reintroducing that, reshoring that back to the United States. And we're doing it in a clean way, meaning we're going to have clean polysilicon, an input material that's actually made with dirty coal currently today in China. And we're not doing it with forced Uyghur labor. We're doing it in Michigan with unionized shops. And so we believe we're doing something good for the country, good for the world, and we can do it responsibly. And when we get into it, we will show that we can be low cost also. So that's the next thing we're going to do. And I'm pretty proud that we've decided to do that. Yeah, like every day of my life. Yeah. Actually, something interesting about that, and I was just talking to a physician earlier today about my transition to retirement, and he was asking me a bunch of questions about things like, am I anxious about not knowing what's going to happen next? I said, actually, no, I look at that as the greatest adventure possible. So, like, what I would say is, not knowing what to do is natural for most people. And I can tell you, at Corning, I don't know how other companies are, everybody around you wants to help. All you got to do is ask. And so I would say in most places, and for sure, if you come join us at Corning, wink, wink, nod, nod, then you can ask anyone around you, and they would drop what they're doing, even if it's their top priority, because people just love helping other people. And I think, like, our pride, especially as engineers and sometimes men, are that we don't want to ask other people for help. And that's also our downfall. People are ready to help all around us, and it's easy at work to develop a good network of people that can help. And frankly, one of the things that's true about teamwork that I've learned through some of these principles I shared today and the like is mastery means being good at the thing you're good at, not being good at everything. And then knowing who to talk to that is good at the other things. And as a group leader, adding people that are different, that are good at different things, so that together you can do just about anything. So, like, that's what I mean. Be good at what you're good at, what you're naturally good at, what you love, and then contribute that to the fullest. And when you don't know how to do a thing, talk to somebody that does. Everybody deals with that almost every day.
Yeah. And my question to you was, you mentioned mastery, purpose, and autonomy as driving factors for you when it came to your career. And have you ever felt a lack of motivation when you're pursuing learning or mastery of a certain subject or topic? And how do you overcome that, or how do you face like a lack of motivation?
Man, you guys are like going way deeper and actually listening to what I'm saying. So you get these second order questions. I don't know, actually. Yeah, there are lots of things I would like to master, but I'm just not good enough. Maybe that's sort of what you're getting at. And I think maybe that's not what I'm naturally gifted to be a master of, is what my conclusion is. Like, I mentioned the guitar. I play the guitar. I'm terrible. I play for myself, but I love music and I love trying. And I love singing for myself. I don't do it in front of a worship band or, in front of an audience or anything else, but I love trying, and the striving sometimes is part of mastery. It's something I want to be good at, but I may not be naturally gifted at. I think that sometimes when we're doing things, you realize this just isn't my gift. And sometimes you got to try to find out, and there's no harm in that. Like, we got to fail at some things to know what we're good at. But if it's something you really got to do, it gets down to just working at it even though you don't like it. And there are things like that too. Things like, French class for me. And so I just had to work at it to get good enough at it, even though I knew that wasn't my calling to be like a French ambassador or anything like that. So.
Hi, Mr. Bell. My name is Lydia Morales. I'm a freshman honors accounting student. And my question to you is, how do you think your background in electrical engineering helped you be successful, not only at Corning, but just in life?
That's a really good question. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, believe it or not. I remember years ago when I was asked I was in manufacturing. I didn't talk about this a lot, but I was in manufacturing for 19 years of my career. But the last 12 years I did PLM for a little while, product line management. Somebody saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and this person actually made this comment last night, and Mark can attest to this, and that's true. And then I spent the last 12 years, or over a third of my career, as a general manager. I never even aspired to be a general manager, honestly, but he saw that in me. But the electrical engineering was interesting. When I got to the PLM role, which is a business role, in the middle of a technical company, I looked around the table, and the people that were around me, we had all electrical engineers and one chemical engineer, or ceramics engineer. I was like, why in the world is that? So I thought about it. I don't know if I'm right about this, and maybe electrical engineers around here would say, that's probably it. Electrical engineers applied math with a lot of faith, okay? If you're good at math, you can be an electrical engineer, but you have to believe what people are telling you because you can't see any of it. So it's very abstract. And I think abstract thinking is helpful in business leadership because you got to see things that nobody else can see and believe in things that probably nobody else believes in. And electrical engineering is a little bit like that in that way because physics is the same, really. physics and electrical engineering is the same, only we believe in Hall flow and they believe in electron flow, and they're wrong, you know. Kidding about that, with the physicist sitting in the front row. But I think it's the same. And this is the answer I came up with. I don't know if it's true or not, but you know, first of all, I had to challenge myself. See, you know, you have to be pretty smart to be an electrical engineer, chemical engineer, and lots of other things in life, by the way. So there's some intelligence involved, of course, in anything that you do. But I just thought this abstract thinking was the most logical answer to me, because there's lots of smart people at Corning. It's not just, and they're not all electrical engineers. But I found it interesting that as I've continued, in fact, now I'm a sector president, but the general managers that work for me, 4 electrical engineers. And that can't be an accident. So, and I don't select for electrical engineers, by the way. It's not because Mike said you'd be an electrical engineer. So, I don't know. And of course, if you're an electrical engineer, a lot of electrical engineers geek out and stay in computers, electronics, and that's great, their whole lives. But if you have interest in other things, that applied math and abstract thinking is, I think, applicable in other realms. So, and you know, anything you're in, be curious and be open and work hard and learn. And I really do believe virtually anything's possible.
And that was our last question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bell, for coming to speak with us today, both about the guiding lights within your own life, as well as the guiding lights that are there for us as the next generation. I do hope that while we go into the rest of our final season and our academic careers, we can take with us the lessons on the principles of mastery, autonomy, as well as the wonderful achievements of Corning's. I want to personally thank you for both the time, energy, and investments that you've placed into us as students and our school as a whole. We know these lessons are worth more than their weight in gold, but I hope that the school token appreciation will be enough for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And as an engineer put to business, thank you.
Thank you. What a bowl of energy and great speaker. I'm like, how do I even compare to that, you know? Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You are so great.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
I'm Jemiah Bass.
Hey,
Don't
Jemiah.
forget my name.
No problem. Good. Come see us at Corning. We need all of you.
But he is the forefront, so to be able to like connect that and not be afraid, but to fully let that shine, and I really do value that.
Well, thank you.
It just was like a full round level. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Hey, man.
Hey, Antoine McPherson,
Hey,
business
Antoine.
management student.
Nice to meet you.
I wanted to know, are you able to share your slides? I have a couple notes that I wanted.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Tell me how we share the slides with the participants, because yeah, they're all free. We can do that.
I'm sure Dr. Caldwell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really wasn't very informative. I tried to make it pretty basic, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Great speech. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Hey, man.
My name's Levi. I'm a sophomore.
Hey, Levi. Man, that's a biblical name there.
I was hearing you say how everyone at Corning seems to stay for a long time. What is it about Corning that you think makes that employees want to stay with Corning? What is it about Corning?
I think part of it is the values, honestly. Like, you can count on being treated a certain kind of way, and respectfully, I think. And when times get tough, the values really shine out. I mean, I can't tell you how many people that we've helped with medical emergencies, with just regular being a human being. Or if you get into a situation where, you know, something's wrong in your family and you need to take some time off or things like that. It's flexible. And I'm serious. I haven't been a place where people want to help each other more.
Hi, my name is Miracle Ellison. I'm 19. I'm a junior here at North Carolina Agricultural Technical State University, and I am a marketing major. And I just attended the Closing Bell series with speaker Mike Bell, and it was so interesting. He's an electrical engineer for the company Corning, and he talked about the company and the longevity and how they really care about their employees, which is why he stayed for so long. Him and his colleague both had been over there for 30 plus years, and that really stood out to me because I was really interested in what about the company stands out. And the culture is great. They care about each other. They hold each other accountable. I think it's a great place, and I can't wait to contact him, and I'm so excited.
Today was very impactful for me because it let me know not only to worry about just working anywhere, but to really figure out the culture of a company. He focused more on the autonomy and purpose, and he did find a beautiful way to also bring in God, because God is in the midst of everything. So I was very blessed to meet Mr. Bell, to be inspired to even take a chance to work at Carney. The next Closing Bell, I am extremely excited. This was just a piece of half of what we can aspire and get to know someone else and the little gems that they give me to prepare for my next step for tomorrow.
I really enjoyed how Mr. Bell introduced us to the 3 principles of motivation, those being purpose, autonomy, and mastery. That really resonated with me as a upcoming professional.
Just the importance of finding your purpose, I think, really stuck with me. Especially as a young professional, just going through college, it's kind of hard to find your way and find what, really matters to you versus just making money. And so I think finding that purpose is something that I've been doing for like these 4 years. And so just hearing that again from Mr. Bell was definitely very impactful for sure. All of the Closing Bells have definitely impacted me. Just connecting with different speakers from all across the country, learning from so many people's different perspectives and life experiences definitely just gives you a lot of wisdom and guidance just for as you're navigating, because you're learning from so many people who have already walked that path that you're currently going on right now.
Hello, everyone. We want to just share about our Closing Bell speaker series. This has been a phenomenal semester. We started this semester back in September with our first Closing Bell, where we had a panel discussion with some of Greensboro's industry leaders to help us get in the mind frame of what does it take to be successful in the workforce. And then we transitioned in October to having our speaker from Bristol-Myers Squibb, Mr. Maurice Belfield, come and just level the playing field on what it takes to be successful and how to really brand yourself and maximize who you are. And then we concluded this semester with Mr. Mike Bell from Corning to come in and talk to our students with a jam-packed house of over 200 students. It's just been a phenomenal Closing Bell. We've designed these speaker series to be intentional about preparing our students for what's next after college, giving them some career advice, work direction, and altogether how to better themselves so that when they leave North Carolina A&T State University, that they've got the tools needed in their toolkit to make sure that they are successful. So this has been an incredible Closing Bell speaker series. We are looking forward to the spring semester. We've got some dynamic speakers coming. We've got an all-female panel planned for Women's History Month. We've got some speakers that are coming in from California and all different kinds of places. And we want to make sure that our students get everything that they need to be successful in their careers post-A&T, post-graduation.